So the action was quite high. As soon as we dropped it down, well, it started splatting out on this top end. Now, if it was a Martin, a Gibson, or a regular neck joint, I would just dress those top frets slightly. But because it's a Taylor, we can remove the neck. And with the radius disc sander, I can thin out this shim. Check this out. Set your stopwatch. That's how long it takes. And while we're at it, we'll get a little bit more height on that saddle and we'll thin this out. Set your stopwatch again. That is your tip thickness, and of course on the top, well, the thickness remains the same. And I am positive that that will do it. Let's put this neck back in place. I do these larger neck bolts up sort of finger tight, and then I back them off like a quarter turn. So there's the lower one. So I finger tighten it and back it off. And that's our last bolt that goes underneath the fingerboard. Excuse me while I block the camera for a second. So that bolt I also finger tighten. Now we're back to the two larger neck bolts. And I'm snugging those down, still just finger tight. Now you really have to hand it to Taylor. I've been working on Taylor's a long time, since he was working out of his garage in Lemon Grove. I've never gone and taken a Taylor course, which I think is a great idea for any young music store owners that are handling Taylor. But I basically figured it out for myself many years ago, and as each new neck configuration came out, I adjusted my game to suit. I think they've pretty well settled on this now. The only cautionary note I have is be very careful when you tighten those bolts. It's metal against wood. The wood doesn't stand a chance. Just snug them down. Don't ever over tighten them, or then you're in real trouble. But it's a better case scenario if you under tighten and they loosen off and you got to snug them back down than if you over tighten and strip them. I use these to kind of steady the extension as I snug it down. And that is our completed neck reset. So this label, I have mentioned it in previous videos, don't take it all the way off. Open it up like the page of a book and then fold it back down into place. We have covered our tracks. Nobody will know that we were ever here. So I've done all my reconnaissance on this compensation for the bridge saddle. We're going to cut a new one because it's going to need to be higher now that we set the neck back, and that's a good thing. $118 is what we're after. Oh, we got it down to 121, 129. $118.5, 120. Very easy. next step. As you saw in that first brief video, I mapped out any discrepancies on that original saddle, this one here. Now I know where the safe zone is for this replacement saddle. So I can cut this back to this line. Of course, the B is going to go right to the back of the saddle. I'm not slanting the crown of the saddle, it's basically flat. I need to take that B string right to that back edge first. I want to be able to respect that radius across the full width of the saddle. I will be able to cut back to this line here. I'll go back to the radius disc sander on the drill press for that. I decided to go with replacing those first 5 frets because that was the only place on the fingerboard where we had wear. Got a beautiful match to those original Taylor frets, the height and the width, and now when we drive these frets home, edge dress and polish, we're back to factory spec because we've taken care of that top end by removing the neck, sanding that shim, and reinstalling. I have masked this off in this case because I don't want to smudge that beautiful maple binding. Now you can see why we leave this a little bit longer than it needs to be. Now we can trim it back and polish it up. There is our completed 12-string compensated nut. All 12 strings are intonated. The 2 unisons are basically in the same place, obviously. And this is the completed compensated 12-string saddle. There's another view of the nut, another view of the saddle, and that is the action on this thing. With the 10 to 47 strings, it is silky smooth to play. This is the action on the treble side, and here's another angle on that compensated nut.